Before sunrise, Lena Ward stopped her mail truck on Red Elk Road because the sign at mile marker 18 was wrong. Yesterday, it had pointed to Marlow Creek. This morning, in the headlights, the same old green sign read, North Hollow Turnout, 3 miles. Lena kept one hand on the steering wheel and stared through the rain on the windshield. She knew every mailbox on that road, every bend, every gravel shoulder, every place where a driver could pull off without dropping into the ditch. There was no North Hollow Turnout, and beneath the signpost, the mud was smooth. No footprints, no tire marks, no ladder prints. Nothing to show that anyone had stood there long enough to change it. At first, Lena blamed the fog. Late October in Bryan County could make the forest feel unfinished before daylight. Fir trees leaned over the road. Mist gathered in low pockets. Headlights caught wet metal and made old letters shine in strange ways. So she drove on. 3 miles later, there was no turnout, no side road, no gravel opening, just rain-dark pavement and black trees pressing close on both sides. By noon, she came back the other way. The sign had changed back. Marlow Creek, 12 miles. Lena stopped again. She stepped out and looked at it closely. Same moss along the bottom, same rust bleeding from the bolts, same faded scratch near the corner. Nothing looked new. Nothing looked replaced. But when the wind moved through the trees, she heard a small metallic click behind the sign. It was quiet enough that she almost dismissed it. The next morning, the sign read, Pine Ash Road, 7 miles. Lena took a photo before she turned off the engine. The morning after that, it read, Old Quarry Gate, 4 miles. By Friday, she had 5 photos of the same sign, on the same post, in the same place, pointing to 5 different destinations. The simplest answer was vandalism. Someone had to be changing it before sunrise. A hunter, a camper, maybe someone from Alder Vale who knew the road was empty at that hour. So Lena called the Bryan County Road Office. A maintenance worker named Ed Rask came out in a White County pickup. He checked the bolts, scraped one finger along the edge of the sign, then crouched in the mud. At first, he treated it like nothing. Then he got quiet. The bolts were rusted tight. The sign face had not been removed. There were no tool marks around the bracket, no fresh scratches, no boot prints behind the post. But one thing bothered Lena. When Ed pushed against the sign, it did not flex like a thin metal plate. It felt heavier, almost hollow. Ed noticed it too, but he only said the county used old materials back then. Then he looked at Lena's photos and told her the fog could make people misread signs. He did not look at her when he said it. The name that bothered Lena most was Calder Lookout. Everyone in Alder Vale knew Calder Lookout had burned down decades earlier. People spoke of it like an old direction rather than a real place. Somewhere above the ridge, somewhere past a road that no longer opened. There had not been a road sign for Calder in years. That night, Lena pulled down one of her father's old boxes. Owen Ward had worked for the Bryan County Road Office when Lena was young. He measured shoulders, marked drainage lines, checked old routes, and came home with mud on his boots. Then, one storm season, people said he marked a road wrong. No one explained it directly. But after that, Owen left the office, stopped talking about Red Elk Road, and let the story harden around him. Lena had spent years believing her father had made a careless mistake. Inside the box were maps, notebooks, old envelopes, and a cracked ruler stained with pencil lead. Then she found the names: Pine Ash Road, Old Quarry Gate, Calder Lookout. They were written in Owen's careful handwriting beside mileage numbers and small route marks. On the next page,
One sentence was underlined twice. "Do not mark the bypass unless the sign changes first." Lena read it again. "Unless the sign changes first." The next day, she visited the county records room. The Red Elk Road files were thin. Too thin. There were repainting forms, culvert notes, and storm cleanup records. But the years she needed were missing. Not misplaced. Missing. Where one folder should have been, there was only a water stain on the cardboard. Then she found the contradiction. A maintenance sheet from years after the route was supposedly closed listed mile marker 18 as inspected under the code. Directional assembly checked. Not signpost, not road marker. Directional assembly. The county had told people the sign was ordinary. The file said it was something else. That was when Lena understood the mystery was not random. Someone had known exactly what that sign was.
At the gas station in Alder Vale, the owner, Dale Mercer, called North Hollow old map noise. He said old maps carried mistakes, planned roads, logging routes, names copied from one office to another. But when Lena mentioned Calder Lookout, Dale looked toward the window before answering. "Some roads are closed because people need them closed," he said. He would not say more. The only person who did not deny the name was Mara Voss, a retired road dispatcher who lived at the edge of town. Mara looked at Lena's photos for a long time. Then she touched the picture of Calder Lookout and said, "Red Elk used to have more ways out than it does now." Lena asked if North Hollow was one of them. Mara folded her hands. That sign was never meant to guide strangers. Before Lena left, Mara added, "If your father kept the gray key, he wanted someone to find it." That night, Lena searched the box again. At the bottom, taped beneath a cardboard flap, was a small gray key. Stamped into the metal was one number, 18. Before dawn, Lena returned to mile marker 18. The sign read, "Old Quarry Gate." Rain slid down the metal face in thin lines. She walked behind the post and pushed aside wet ferns. There, nearly hidden against the back of the sign, was a narrow service box. The gray key fit. Inside were gears, numbered plates, and a rotating drum stacked with old destination panels. The sign had not been impossibly changing. It had been built to change. For a moment, that felt like an answer. Then Lena saw the fresh oil on the gears. A pencil mark had been written beside one setting. The inside of the latch was clean where a hand had touched it recently. The system was old, but it was not abandoned. The maps finally made sense. Red Elk Road had once been part of a hidden emergency routing system, used during storms, washouts, and fire closures. The sign could guide train drivers toward bypasses when the main road failed. After one dangerous season, the routes were removed from public maps. The records disappeared, and Owen Ward may not have been blamed because he marked the wrong road. He may have been blamed because he refused to pretend the right road was never there. 2 mornings later, the sign pointed again to North Hollow Turnout. This time, Lena followed it. At exactly 3 miles, her headlights caught a narrow gravel opening between the trees. It was angled so sharply from the road that she had passed it for years without seeing it. She walked in alone. The gravel was soft. Ferns grew through the center. Farther in, she found broken guardrail, old survey stakes, and a leaning wooden post. North Hollow Turnout was real. Then her flashlight caught one final detail. A fresh strip of reflective tape had been wrapped around the post. Not old, not faded, not left from the county crews. New. When Lena returned to mile marker 18, the sign had changed back. Marlow Creek, 12 miles. By then, part of the mystery had an answer. The sign could change because it had been designed to change. North Hollow had existed, and Lena's father may have carried shame for years because he had tried to leave a warning where others wanted silence. But the clean gears, the fresh pencil mark, and the new tape in the woods left one question no county file could answer. Who was still pointing the way? Some places are not forgotten by accident. Sometimes a road disappears because keeping it visible would force people to explain why it was hidden. The road had been erased from every map, but someone was still pointing the way.